An open letter to my landlord. We won't be paying rent for April, and we thought we'd let you know why. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Randall, just to let you know, since we've never met, I'm one of your many residential tenants. I imagine that between you and your corporation, the Randall Group, and then between that and its subsidiary, CTL Management, Inc., there are several degrees of disconnect, so you may or may not be aware that your corporate representatives have just sent me, and presumably your thousands of other tenants up and down the West Coast, notifications of yet another annual increase in our monthly rent, dated March 25th, 2020. The letter is a very slight variation of the same one we've received every year since I moved into one of the many buildings you own in Portland, Oregon in 2007. You or the management company you own has more than doubled our rent since that time. You have never once provided any explanation in your annual letters for why the rent has to increase so much more than most people's wages do. As you may know, wages have remained stagnant in this country for decades, as our life expectancy has as well. The thing is, stagnant wages are only leading to a life expectancy that is not rising, because expenses are not stagnant. Expenses are always rising. Chief among those expenses? Rent charged by people like you and corporations like yours. It admittedly really does irk me that in 2011 you donated $10 million to a hospital here in Portland so that they named the children's wing of the hospital after you. Every time I pass that hospital, it upsets me. To think that the reason my 3 children have to live in the same small apartment I moved into when I only had 1 child is because you keep raising our rent by such an unconscionable, unmanageable amount every year. How many children in this city, with parents less fortunate than we are now homeless because of your unfettered greed, because your wealth is more important than the lives of your tenants? While you donate money to a hospital that cares for children. The irony is what upsets me, not the donation itself. It's the narcissism involved with such BS philanthropy. The fake philanthropy of someone who wants their name on a sign but doesn't care about the children who suffer in order to put that name on the sign. Of course, I'm just making assumptions about your motives. Maybe you really do care about regular people. If so, you can start to show that by, for example, declaring a suspension of rent for the duration of the crisis, and then lowering the rent you charge post-crisis to something more compatible with the actual living situations of actual people. Not just your preferred people, imports from even more expensive cities who keep moving into your apartments and displacing people who grew up around here or have lived here a long time. This may just be the way capitalism works, and you're just another commercial and residential real estate company that is going along with the capitalist program. But the thing is, you and the lobbying group that you support actually lobbies in state capitals to make sure there is no regulation passed that interferes with your ever-increasing profits. So you're not just part of a bad system, Mr. and Mrs. Randall. You are the bad system. People like you, and corporations that people like you own, need to be resisted if there is any hope for this horrendously divided and literally very sick society. I, like many of your current and especially former tenants here in Portland, am an artist. I'm a touring songwriter. I make a living largely from traveling around the world and performing. Now, I can't even travel and perform in Oregon, let alone in Europe, where I spend much of my professional life. Oh, and the reason I tour Europe so much in the first place, instead of more locally, and the reason I usually spend so many more months away from home than I used to touring there in Europe, is largely because of you and your rent increases. Now, I can't tour at all. Yet you not only want the rent as usual, as if there weren't a massive global catastrophe going on, as if the entire society weren't under some form of quarantine, but you have the audacity to actually raise it. Landlords like you are a big part of this society's problem. Not landlords like some of my friends who are struggling to pay their mortgages, struggling to find a way to let their tenants slide on rent, but landlords specifically like you, who own so many buildings. Even your corporate clients are announcing they're not going to pay their rent for April. We lowly residential tenants would be idiots not to do the same, really. Especially since so many of us actually can't. I can for now. I just toured Australia before the world closed its borders. So although the rest of my spring tour in North America and Europe was cancelled, and although I'm drowning in credit card debt, I was planning to pay off with that tour. I've got a little money, no thanks to you. But it seems to us that there are better things to hold on to that money to do, especially while there is a statewide ban on evictions and power shutoffs. Everything is moving very fast, as you know. We'll see what new laws get passed and how much government aid there is for people like me. I'm sure there will be lots of government aid for corporations like yours. Plus, you don't need any more money. You're very rich. It's time for you to change your ways. Blame the pandemic, or blame me, or blame society, I don't care. But two of the people who are to blame for my family's relative poverty, and for the fact that most of my friends have moved out of Portland since I first moved here, are you guys, Mr. and Mrs. Randall. We regular people don't expect people like you to change without a fight. But let this be entirely clear. If there is to be a class war in America, it is people like you who started it. We are only responding to your mindless greed and the broken system which people like you broke and make sure stays broken. No more. Sincerely, David Rovix, your tenant. P.S. I have paid the rent on time every month since April 2007. P.P.S. Long before I ever wrote you a letter, you inspired many songs. For the audio version of this open letter, I'll leave you with a few of my favorites. Bank is empty. Card is full, and no matter how hard I pull, the car don't move, the rent is due. I'm not sure what else to do. Get a job, perhaps I should, pulling shots or hauling wood. It's a bit too late right now for that. So in the meantime, here's my hat. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. My landlord is a company which takes away all my money, as well as that of half the town. They're slumlords of great renown. The Randall Group, the group of Randall. You can bet they don't need to panhandle. They own my building, they might own yours, along with all of your mold spores. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. 'Cause at that time the rent is due. This is a red line for me, don't know about you. Everything else just comes to a halt when you get thrown out onto the asphalt. Call it funding from the crowd. Sounds so nice, rhymes with cloud. Call it begging, I don't care, long as Randall gets their share. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. 'Cause this world I can't afford, I'm throwing a party for my landlord. I'm throwing a party for my landlord.
10,000 yuppies just moved here. 10,000 others came last year. The rent has doubled since I moved in. Each month I take it on the chin. Each month I wonder, how many more can I stay in Portland before I move into my car or end up somewhere behind bars? 10,000 yuppies say don't complain now that the city is in the fast lane. It's just a market and it knows best. That's how the bankers built the West. So just get rich and you can stay. Otherwise just go away. There's no room here for us holding on under the bus. I'm just a renter, this ain't my town. Might as well just burn it down. For all I care. 10,000 yuppies think it's great to invest in Portland real estate. Keep Portland weird, they like to say, but that was over yesterday. Of their achievements, they're so proud, living lives in some cloud. But unlimited data will get you nowhere if you can't afford to care. I'm just a renter, this ain't my town. Might as well just burn it down. I care. For all I care. 10,000 yuppies, and on each block they're flipping houses and taking stock. Where's the next place they can transform? Tents and mansions, the new norm. They like TED Talks, they like greed, they like wine bars, they like weed, they like bike lanes, they want more. They're the face of the new class war. I'm just a renter, this ain't my town. Might as well just burn it down. For all I care. For all I care. For all I care. I'm writing you this letter cause among the choices it's probably better than listening to voices raging in my head saying point and shoot. And after you're dead, your face meets my boot. I don't know your name, it's better that way cause I can't play this game, who knows what I'll say. I feel like I'm burning, I've had it up to here. It's time that you were learning the meaning of fear. I live in these apartments, are your private property among your residents. Most of us agree that you're a piece of shit. How does that make you feel? We don't like you one bit, and that's for real. We think you're a thief, that you don't care. Seems your one belief is whatever the market will bear, whatever you can get away with, what you could make us pay. If we ever get justice, you should fear that day. Landlord. Landlord. But it's not just you, it's all your kin. The things you do cause the state we're in. You bribed the politicians so they'd let you off lead. Now the legal situation's just the one you need. For you to make millions, for profits to be high, but even billions won't be with you when you die. I hope you find the death you seek, meet the devil that you serve. If you live another week, that's more life than you deserve. Landlord. Landlord. In the class war you're waging, there's no question who is winning. But if there's any justice, this is only the beginning. The next act in the play will be written by the tenants, and until your dying day, you'll be paying penance. Your assets will be seized, that's a fucking given. You profiteers of misery, start spending time in prison. Then you can get a job, figure out what you do best. You can keep the house you live in, but we're taking all the rest. Landlord. 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 Yo, landlord.